behind closed doors. I'm a fool for your love.
Hello everyone, my name is Anthony and welcome back to the Anthony James Show here on Sports Fan Entertainment. I'm back with my Week 4 NFL Power Rankings. Let's get right to it. Number 1, just like each and every week, the New England Patriots. How are they doing it? They shut out the Houston Texans with a third-string quarterback. A rookie quarterback at that. I don't get it. I really don't. At this point, I think they could throw in Julian Edelman and still win. They're gonna play Buffalo. I think we all thought they would probably go 3-1 with Tom Brady. Without Tom Brady, I guess there's still a chance they go 3-1. The fact they beat the Cardinals were a surprise. The Texans with the third-string quarterback, that was a surprise. They are looking really good. It's amazing. There's a chance we'll see an AFC Championship rematch because the two teams that people were kind of doubting going into the season because Tom Brady was going to be gone. The Broncos defense isn't as good this year. Well, those were thrown away. These teams are still good. The Patriots are number 1. They are still good. Number 2, the Broncos. They move up a 1. Wow, the Broncos. Their defense is still really good. They're 3-0 now. They beat the Cincinnati Bengals, a consistent playoff team. They're looking good. Trevor Siemian, surprisingly, is looking good. He played better than Brock Osweiler or Peyton Manning did last year in that one game. I don't know if this is a one-game wonder or if we'll see more from him, but considering he did this against the Bengals defense, I'm inclined to think that this is just the beginning of what we're seeing from Osweiler. Or excuse me, not Osweiler, Trevor Siemian. I don't think he's a future quarterback for them. However, he's looking pretty good and might make this not just a playoff team for Broncos, but a contender. The Broncos are really looking good, and I'm excited for the rest of their season. Moving up 10 spots, my Minnesota Vikings. I'm super excited. I had a feeling they could beat the Panthers. They did that, and they did a really good job at that. They made the Panthers look weak. 8 sacks, 3 interceptions. The Vikings defense was all over the place that game. They ended up winning, and really the offense wasn't terrible. First half it was, but second half they got together, put some points up on the board. This Vikings team, it reminds me a lot of the Broncos from last year. Defense carries this team. Offense isn't that good. I think the offense is a little bit better than the Broncos was last year, but I think this defense isn't as good. And I mean, that was one of the best defenses we'll ever see. So that's okay to not be that good. But overall, as a Vikings fan, I'm ecstatic. 3-0 to start out the season. Haven't done this since they went to the NFC Championship a few years ago, so I'm excited to see what the rest of the season brings. But number 4, also moving up 10 spots, the Philadelphia Eagles. They shut out who many people consider to be the Super Bowl favorite, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they just made them look weak. I love that. They did a fantastic job against the Steelers. Who would have thought that? I don't think anybody in the world predicted the Eagles would dominate the Steelers. Even Eagles fans, I think they probably predicted a close game. But the Eagles dominated the Steelers. Who would have thought in 2016 that would happen? Wentz is looking great. I thought it'd take a little bit for him to get into the NFL. Obviously, that's not the case. He's done a fantastic job for Philly. I'm excited to see what his future is. And now let's go to number 5. Number 5, moving up 3 spots, the Seattle Seahawks. Wilson's been under a lot of pressure. You need to keep Wilson healthy because if he goes down, your season goes down. You don't want that to happen. Defense, same old, same old. It's one of the better defenses in the NFL, and it's in part why they've been able to be 2-1 at this point. They gotta start winning. They should be 3-0 right now. This is a team that should be 3-0. They are not. Considering they started out pretty bad last year, I think a 2-1 start isn't that bad for the Seahawks. So they're not looking terrible. Then the Packers, I move them up 1 spot to 6. They should have done better against the Lions. I was disappointed, especially how they started. They almost let the Lions come back. I don't know. This is still a playoff team. The Packers are a playoff team unless a major injury happens. But that should have been a much easier game that they won. I have a feeling the struggles we saw the Packers last year haven't gone away this year. Now, moving down 5 spots, the Steelers. Lucky for you guys, you have Le'Veon Bell back, even though you probably could have gone with Williams throughout the rest of the season because he's done a pretty good job for you. Regardless, though, Le'Veon Bell's a huge addition to have come back, but you got killed by the Philly Eagles. Not many people were predicting them to do well, but they are doing well, so I don't know. But Steelers are looking They lost, but they're still a playoff team. After them, their divisional rivals, the Baltimore Ravens, move up 4 spots to 8. Now I know they're 3-0. I have the other 3-0 teams 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm not. They don't have a lot of quality wins, and all their games have really been close. So until I start to see wins against like the Bengals, against the Steelers, I'm not gonna move this team up. I mean, I might move them up 1 or 2 spot. I mean, if they're 4-0, I move them up. But they're a quiet 3-0. I think they are the least talked about 3-0 team. We'll see what happens. But considering they started 0-3 last year, I think this is a change that Raven fans are happy about. Next, the Oakland Raiders move up 6 spots to 9. They're in the top 10. Raiders, my worries. Some games they look great. Some games they look terrible. We'll see how their season goes. They're still in a tough division with the Broncos. Number 10, they moved down 5 spots. The Panthers, they did not look good against the Vikings. They already tied how many losses they had in total last season, including the playoffs, and it's only week 3. Panthers got to start getting it together because right now they're not in first in their division. And if they lose against the Falcons this week, which I think is a possibility, they're going to be fighting from behind for the division. Next up, the Bengals. They also moved down 5 spots. They didn't look that good against the Broncos, although they are the defending Super Bowl champions. They did not look that good. 1-2 to start the season after they started undefeated. This isn't looking good. Last year they looked much better. I think this should still be a playoff team, but maybe we have to start worrying a little bit. Next up, the Arizona Cardinals. They moved down 8 slots. Oh man, they got killed by the Bills. No way on earth that should have happened. They let it happen. That's a huge worry for me. This was my worry coming into the season, that this team's getting old. Is that happening? I feel like it might be happening. They got to start getting it together. Next up, the Chiefs moved back up 4 spots. They had 6 interceptions. They did a great job, although that game was a lot closer than what it should have been. Regardless, though, they got the win. They got a lot of interceptions, and their defense is not looking that bad. Next up after the Chiefs, up 2 are the Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott, they're finally winning with a quarterback behind Tony Romo. This is good for them. Looks like this division is going to be tougher than in years past. We already have 3 teams with a winning record, one of which is undefeated. But Cowboys, we'll see what happens. I think Tony Romo still comes back and claims his spot. As good as Prescott's playing, Romo's better. Next up, the Houston Texans moved down 5 spots after scoring no points against the Patriots. They might be pretenders, and honestly, with J.J. Watt, I probably could have moved them down a little bit more. J.J. Watt being out is really going to hurt this team. Next, the Giants, to round out the top half, they moved down 5 spots. That was a game they should have won, and last year I expected them to lose it. The way they started this season, I expected them to win it. They didn't. That really hurts. But they're 2-1. Now they have to play the Vikings. They need to win that game, but it's going to be a difficult game, that's for sure. Next, the Jets. They moved down 8 slots, tied for the biggest drop this week. Jets did terrible this week against the Chiefs. Ryan Fitzpatrick is, he's not looking good. He's got to start getting it together, or else this could be bad for the Jets. Moving up 2 spots, the Colts. I figured they'd win. They finally did. If they can win against the Jaguars, I think they're in good position, especially with J.J. Watt being out. Right now, they're only 1 game behind the division, so they don't have much work to do to get back on top. No surprise, though, this is the AFC South. Next up, the Falcons move up 4 spots, with a somewhat surprising win against the Saints. They look pretty good. Like I said earlier, I think they can beat the Panthers this week, and if they do, they're 3-1. It will be interesting to see, but for now, I moved them up 4 spots. Next, Los Angeles Rams move up 2 spots. How are they winning? Nobody knows, but they won again this week. Now look at them. This team, believe it or not, is 2-1 and in first in their division. Early in the season, but still a surprise. Next, the Detroit Lions, I keep them at 21. Even though they lost, they looked good at the end, and maybe the Lions will be what everybody thought the Bears would be. Next, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they moved down 4 spots. Didn't look good again this week. I need to see more. Winston, I was expecting a bigger season from him. He's not started out well. The Chargers also moved down 4 to 23. A loss this week against a team without a win in the Colts. I wouldn't hit the panic button just yet, but there isn't a lot of depth here, so if this team starts getting hurt, they just lost Monte Teo, they could be in trouble. Next up, the Bills move up 4 spots to 24. Maybe could have moved them up a little bit more, but they finally won a game, and it was against the Arizona Cardinals of all teams. I don't know how. I don't think anybody predicted them to be their first win. But here we are. Bills surprisingly won. Good for them. Next up, the Redskins. They move up 5 spots. They beat an undefeated in the New York Giants. They needed that. If they lost this game, I think people would start to hit the panic button. Next, the Miami Dolphins stay in the same spot at 26. Despite winning against the Browns, it was overtime. They really didn't look that good. Dolphins could be a very bad team this year. Next, the Titans moved down 1 spot. Surprise, surprise, the Titans lost. Titans aren't looking good. Mariota's not looking that great. Just as I expected, Mike Mularkey is not that good of an NFL head coach, and you're facing the consequences of hiring him. Next, the San Francisco 49ers move up 1 spot. This will probably be one of the very few times I ever move a team up that lost a game. But frankly, there are 4 teams who are 0-3. It does not make sense for me to keep them below an 0-3 team. So let's get to those 0-3 teams. First and foremost, the Jacksonville Jaguars moved down 4 spots. I love Blake Bortles. He was my #1 quarterback of that 2014 draft. But oh my goodness, he has not looked good this season. He needs to start getting together, or Gus Bradley and him could be gone after next season. Next up, the Chicago Bears. They moved down 3 spots. They weren't even that close against the Cowboys. Might have to start worrying, especially if they lose this week against the Lions. This is a winnable game for them, and if they lose that, if any hope that they had of this season, which I think is already gone, definitely will be gone. Next up, the Cleveland Browns. I got to give this team credit. Frankly, next week, if these 4 are still 0-3, I might move them up. Because despite playing a 3rd-string quarterback, they are playing decent football. Terrell Pryor's looking good. This is the 31 team in the NFL. I have no doubt in that. However, they're looking not terrible. Maybe the future's bright. I don't want to say it. We have to see how they do in the draft. But they're doing decent with the 3rd-string quarterback, although they're still 0-3. And finally, at 32, the Saints. This week, I can honestly say they deserve to be 32 because they played terrible. You guys doubted me. You were doubting me saying, oh, the Saints shouldn't be 32. They're a playoff team. They're a playoff contender. No, they're not. They are a horrible team. They can't win at home. That is real. How can they not win at home? The home field advantage used to be the one thing we could have about the Saints. That, hey, they might lose on the road, but they'll win at home. They already lost at home to the Falcons. This is a game they should have won. If they lost at home, you're telling me they can win on the road against the Falcons? No. This Saints team is looking terrible. I think this will be a top 5 pick, like I figured coming into the season. Probably a 4-win season. Maybe if they're lucky 5. But they have started out horrible, just as I figured. Drew Brees, you cannot expect to win shootouts. Why on earth would you think your team will win shootouts? That's a terrible idea. Terrible idea. The only reason this Falcons team didn't get 50 is because they had the ball at the end of the game and just wanted to end it. They could have easily got a touchdown and been over 50 points. What a horrible team the New Orleans Saints are. Just as I expected, you all doubted it. I hope you're finally seeing it though. 0-3 to start out the season. Horrible. Outside of Drew Brees, there might be a couple other players that I can really name are good players. The rest are just terrible. The defense is horrible. Oh my goodness. Saints fan, it's going to take a long time to rebuild your team. But those are my power rankings for week 4 of the NFL season. Leave yours below. Tell me what you think. I know you all will. And if you enjoyed this video, leave a like. You can follow me on Twitter at AnthonyJamesTV. Link in the description. Also subscribe to me, Anthony James TV. I make NFL videos of my own. That link will also be in the description. Of course, subscribe to Sports Fan Entertainment. Hope you enjoyed my week 4 power rankings. Until next time, this is Anthony. I'm out. See you all later.
Closed doors, I'm a fool for your love.